Hey guys, this is Dave with Moniology. Hope everyone is having a great weekend. This is the weekend market review for September 23rd and 24th, 2017, where we go through some of the important indices in the global markets, both in fixed income as well as equities, to kind of get a sense of the market. And we look at things from multiple time frames in real time. So come on this journey with me. All right, so starting with the 10-year U.S. Treasury on the daily chart, what do I see? I see that we've had a bit of a pullback in the 10-year Treasury yields. No surprise there, but let's kind of see what happens here if this is just a pullback to the 60 RSI level and we move higher, or this is actually a kind of a near-term top. I think that this is just a pullback. Why do I think that? Well, we're having positive divergence. We're about 23 level, kind of a double top in price, but momentum is much higher here than it was at the 50 level here several weeks ago. So bottom line is there's some very nice solid support on the daily, on the 50 and the 200 EMAs, and so I would expect to see a nice rally from here on out. Move towards 24 is definitely in the cards. And then you kind of want to take a look and see how it reacts there. Weekly, we're in a bullish move. And this is actually a very, very bullish development here. You notice that this is potentially a breakout of this bullish flag pattern we've been calling in several previous videos. So if this breakout holds, this is a significant development, and I believe it will. If you draw this line on RSI, we're frankly above that already in the 10-year Treasury on the weekly. Here's a monthly chart, not quite there yet on the monthly, but we believe it's coming. Gold daily chart, we've had a pullback here, which is not to be wasn't a surprise here. We were kind of looking for it ourselves. Question is what happens here. So we broke right below the 50 EMA at 1297. No surprise, kind of washing some weak hands out. We're finding support here on that 40 RSI level, which we found support on before multiple times, so no surprise if we see a bounce at the very least to that 1325 area. Remains to be seen at this point. If you're a short-term trader, I'm not yet comfortable with gold. I want to see some strength, and I want to see a strong move above 1325 to confirm that the upside has indeed resumed. On the weekly chart, expect things to price or RSI momentum to retest that 50 on the RSI before this correction is over. Wouldn't surprise me if this trend line that we broke above, I would say about 1250 area, is going to be retested from the upside. So and once it holds, we believe it will. No, it's also the place where the 50 and 200 EMA lie right now at the 1260 level, so I wouldn't be surprised if we have a bounce back to about 1325, followed by a move down to the 1260 area. We find support on the weekly RSI 50 level, and then we make our move towards 1400. Gold is definitely in a bullish long-term trend, but in the meantime, there's a little bit of a pullback. So keep an eye on the gold. High yield bond fund or ETF JNK. Frankly, it looks good. I mean, there's nothing else to say beyond the fact that it looks like it's going to make a break towards higher highs in the coming days. So the market still looks healthy, and we'll look at some of the various stock market indices and see what they look like. Now, on a weekly basis, I still see negative divergence consistently on the junk bond ETF. So if it breaks that 3750 level and retakes this wedge here, then maybe we break to new momentum highs. But until that happens, I still longer term still favor the downside to the upside. But the daily, as you saw, looked fairly good. Monthly, it's kind of a rounding top potentially developing here, but we're still in very, very overbought territory, which is very bullish from a longer term standpoint. Oil, we've covered this in a previous oil video, but bottom line is we believe that we're going to make a run towards 55 to 60 in the coming weeks ahead. We're very bullish on oil, and we think there are a lot of great opportunities in the sector. So definitely want to watch that video to get some more ideas. On oil daily weekly chart, this is one of the reasons why. I mean, we broke 50 on the weekly RSI. We're creating positive divergence to price here, and so 55 is our short-term target, but we think that this 200 EMA is going to get broken on this move to the upside. And so we've been basically right on the ball with oil over the last couple of months. So this call to the upside should be considered with pretty good confidence. Monthly, kind of inverse head and shoulders here potentially developing, which would ultimately take oil towards that 70 to 80 mark. But notice here, this is very key development here. It's right below the 50 on the monthly RSI. If that breaks to the upside, and we believe it will, that means that it's going to be a very, very bullish development in oil, but not for gas prices. Daily NASDAQ, we had a little bit of a pullback here over the last couple of days, but a nice hammer pattern right off the middle Bollinger Band towards end Friday. Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm still thinking that we're going to pull back in the markets. MACDs are starting to move below zero, so if that can't be recaptured, that 6,500 level can't be recaptured this week, I think we're going to have a couple percentage down week this week. Weekly chart, further divergence similar to junk ETF. We're seeing kind of higher highs but lower highs in RSI. So a development definitely worth keeping an eye on. And the NASDAQ monthly, kind of like the junk bond ETF, a bearish wedge. It's broken down below that. It's created negative divergence here, and it's exceptionally overbought, which is not what you typically see in downtrends, but nonetheless, it's a potential indication that we might be headed lower in the coming months ahead. The Russell 2000 daily chart looks fantastic. It appears to be breaking basically 52-week and all-time highs here with RSI positive momentum. That's not a bearish sign. So that's one in the bulls camp. Weekly is showing some weakness. I mean, it's got negative divergence here, and so although it's breaking to highs, how many legs do we have here? But MACDs are starting to curl above zero. If that can push above zero, then I think that's a very good indicator that the markets are going to be headed higher, at least the small cap index. The monthly chart here looks fantastic. I mean, if you're a bear, this is a very key line of resistance, and if it breaks to the upside, this can be another 5 to 10% type rally in store for the Russell. S&P daily had a little bit of a pullback. This probably serves as support at the 60 RSI level. Likely heads higher here in the short run. You look at the weekly, you see some divergences, negative divergences. So I don't have strong confidence one way or the other, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And the S&P 500 monthly, well, it's strong. I mean, it's strong, and it's showing it's got very good momentum. It's making new momentum highs as it's making new price highs, which is what you want to see. One concern is that the MACDs are starting to curl towards the zero line here. So that's something to keep an eye on for. But until anything happens, this is a bullish market. Tips to TLT. So this is the inflation ratio. And we had this nice run in inflation over the last couple of weeks, which mimics the 10-year Treasury in some ways. Now we've pulled back, and now we're at the 50 level. Expect this to move higher over the coming weeks ahead. The weekly chart shows a similar pattern, this bullish flag, kind of a cup and handle here. and we're on the verge of a pretty substantial breakout. Inflation is coming, and inflation is potentially already here. So commodities are definitely a sector that you want to have on your radar. And here's a monthly look at this. Still bullish flag, but it's going to break out to the upside. It's just a question of when. U.S. dollar index. U.S. dollar actually looks pretty strong on the daily. What do we say that? Well, we had this fairly nice washout bottom around that 90-91 area, but we continually made positive divergence on RSI, which tells me that there's probably a rallying story here in the dollar index, probably further weakness in precious metals in the short run. But does it have legs, and how long for? That remains to be seen. Weekly chart, I would say 94 level, possibly as high as the 96 level towards the 50 EMA at around the 96.37. It could definitely be possible. So stay tuned there. And taking a look at the monthly, that's very weak. There's nothing bullish on the monthly pattern here. No hope really in the long run. But I think the next longer term target is that 87.50 area. That breaks, I think 80 is a reasonable price target, possibly as low as 72.50 in the long run. And this is why it's so important to know your perspective. In the long run, I think this is an exceptionally bullish chart. I think we're ultimately going to make a run towards 120, but that may take several years. In the short run, we might drop another 10-20% in the dollar index before making a move that can be 70-80% higher. So it's all about perspective. The VIX once again, it has sold off. Now, the one thing I am seeing here is it's at support around that 40 level. We found that support line many times before, so wouldn't be surprised if we start moving back up. This does look to me like a bullish flag pattern, but RSI is and RSI is at support. So we'll see. This is not really a strong chart, but ultimately what it does show is in times past around this level, we would consolidate here for a couple of days, and then boom, we'd break higher. So stay tuned on the VIX. On the VIX weekly, it looks to be in a bullish flag, but still bearish in the short run. And on the monthly, well, there's really nothing to see here. Still bearish, and until proven otherwise. Finally, the last of our charts on this watch list are the daily World ex USA index. I mean, it looks good. Nothing to see here. I think we're going to see new highs over the coming weeks here. Yep, we've kind of retaken this particular trend pattern here to the upside. That's a bullish development, and we can probably expand this range here and expect new highs. And the monthly looks fantastic. I mean, there's positive RSI momentum here, and if 2,000 breaks to the upside over the coming weeks, we think the probability is ever increasing. This is going to be a very big move to the upside, possibly a move that's going to run towards that 2,400 level. That coincides with the inflation narrative we've been talking about. It's going to stink for fixed income investors, especially those who with longer term duration. But bottom line is inflation is coming. Commodities are an area you want to be looking at, and the markets look fairly strong. I do see some potential weakness in terms of bearish wedges starting to break down and some negative divergence on the weekly. But overall, there's nothing really that stands out to suggest that we're going to be moving lower in the markets anytime soon. That's about it. So have a great week. Good luck with your trading. Please follow us on StockTwits and on Twitter at Moniology, and do subscribe to our videos. I appreciate you guys sharing these and offering any constructive feedback. Thanks, guys, and have a great week.